I'm glad to be here. I thank God for strength, peace, the ability to walk through these doors. Don't take that for granted. I'm going to say that again. Don't take it for granted that you're able to walk through these doors. And it's not just in the physical realm, but in the spiritual realm. Because spiritually, some people can't walk through the door. Physically, they can, but their spiritual captivity doesn't allow them to walk through. So you need to be thankful. I need to be thankful that I am able to walk through these doors. Yes, you've chosen to be here, but you're also called, as Medea was sharing earlier. Don't sell yourself short. That you get to be here because God has called you. A couple of you. Yes, don't take it for granted. We're going to be in the Gospel of John chapter 1. John chapter 1, starting with the 45th verse, 2 verses. John 1 and 45. Philip findeth Nathanael, and saith unto him, We have found him. We have found him. Speaking about the Messiah, we have found him, of whom Moses in the law and the prophets did write. What was prophesied that he was coming, he's telling him, we found him. He said, Jesus of Nazareth. This is the one. The son of Joseph. Don't get this confused. Joseph is not his biological father, but it's his earthly father. And he says, because in those times you would be referred to as your father's son. You wouldn't have a surname like we have. Like Simon, son of Jonas. So Jesus is being known as the son of Joseph. So he's saying the son of Joseph is the one. It's the one. He's telling Nathanael that this is the Messiah. And Nathanael says unto him, Can there any good thing come out of Nazareth? He's telling them this is the one, and he's saying, is there anything good that could come out of there? In other words, there's nothing good there. So he's reflecting it on Jesus. And then Philip says unto him, Come and see. You may be seated. This is just short, simple. You've probably read this. You've probably heard this scripture. But it jumped out at me. It jumped out at me as Nathanael says, Can there be any good thing coming out of Nazareth? Now, for me, for you, we can reflect back and look back at this time, thousands of years ago. We can look back and we can think to ourselves, how did they miss it? How did they miss that Jesus was the Messiah? How did they miss that this was a good thing? How did they miss that this man that opened up blind eyes and unstopped deaf ears and made the lame to walk and turned a little bit of food and fed thousands? How did they miss it? And we can look at that. And we can think, all the things that Jesus did. And after it was all said and done, there was really only a handful that followed him to the cross. His mother followed him, right? John, the one that wrote this, he followed him. And Peter had just told him that he would not, nothing would stop him from staying committed to him. You remember? And he was so determined that he carried a sword and he even tried to take a man's head off. you will remember it by an ear coming off, but he wasn't going to cut an ear off. He was going to take a head off. He missed. But even Peter, after all that, he wasn't even there. After everything he had witnessed, he didn't stay there. And in fact, they were like, hey, he's one of Jesus' disciples. And the Bible tells us this. He started cussing to set him off and say, no, I'm not one of them. That tells us that. He starts using profanity to prove that he's not a follower of Jesus. Think about that. Because he was pulling out. He was pulling out. He didn't stay in it. And then after all of this, Jesus resurrects. He rises from the dead and tells them to tarry for the Holy Ghost in the upper room. And he shows himself to 500 people. And only 120 show up after all it's said and done. Jesus didn't have a big following. We may not see it like that, though, because, of course, nobody's made a greater impact and nobody ever will. And nobody will ever be as known as in all of mankind as him. But when he was here on earth, he didn't have a big following. I'm letting you chew on that, because we are very similar to the people that how they were back then. We can miss how good God is. We can miss it. We can miss how good God is. I say we. I can miss it. You can miss it. And I'm going to say this. Most people are missing it. Most people are missing it. It's a privilege to walk through these doors. It's a privilege. It's a privilege. Not because of me, not because of the team, the singers, the greeters, the seats or the facility, not because of that, but because of God. It's a privilege. We get to be here. But here's what separates those that were like his mother and like John and the few that went and were at the cross. What separates is those that can see value and worth in coming to the house of the Lord. Those that can see value and worth in coming to the house of the Lord. Why do you think some people don't come to the house of the Lord? I'm going to answer it. Because they don't see any value in it. There's no worth to it. Because if they saw value and worth, then they would fight to come through these doors. Not because of me. Not because of this team. But because of him. Now, I get it. We don't need to come to church. I can read my Bible at home. I can watch YouTube church, right? Right? Isn't that what? But all them people that are saying that, how much church are they having by themselves? Are they really connecting? Are they really connecting? Or are they channel surfing and the barbecue's going on and something else is distracting? You know how it is. I don't need to be here. I'll have my own church. I do my own thing. There's nothing anyone can say that I don't already know anyways. That's the thinking. Why? Because there's no value, there's no worth that they see. Just like Nathanael is speaking for the multitude. Can any good thing come out of here? Can anything good thing come out of NCC? Can any good thing come out at the Vineyard? We call it the Vineyard because of the Vineyard Road right here. Can any good thing come out of here? Yes, it is, yes. But there's people that are asking that question, meaning it's rhetorical. Nothing good is going to come out of me going to that service. Nothing good's going to come out of me walking through the doors. How do I say that? Why? Because they don't see value in it. This is like our thinnest showing we've had in a long time, right, with this message. But not seeing the value, not seeing the worth. I'm not grinding an axe. I'm just going off of what Nathaniel said. Can any good thing come out of Nazareth? I brought a couple of coins here. One's like this gold dollar, and one's an ounce of silver. Can you bring me a Kleenex? So this is an ounce of silver right here. I want to say, if those of you may be more knowledgeable than me, I think it's worth like $23 right now. I don't know what this is. An ounce of gold is around $2,000, I think, maybe more. But we understand the value of that, where I can tell you that, and you can understand when I say this ounce of silver is its value in the $20 range, right? But if I had a stack of these, couple thousand of these, that would have a lot of value, right? Would it have a lot of value? Let's just say I had enough silver, and this is literal silver. Now they don't make coins that are literal silver. In the 60s, so if you have like a silver dollar, that's real silver from the 60s. And when we were kids, if you got one of those, that was a big deal. You got one of those silver dollars or the half dollar. It's a big deal. But they were literal silver. So they're probably worth more than actually what the denomination is of it now. So a dollar that you could use it as a dollar is probably worth more than a dollar because it's actual silver. Now if you get one, it's not silver any longer. So what I'm saying, it doesn't have the same value outside of the denomination that it is. But if I had a big stack of silver, or I had a big stack of gold, and I'm talking, just put a value on it. Let's grab $10,000. Say $10,000. Is that okay number with you? And those people that are online watching, if I had $10,000 of silver or gold or a combination of the two, and I walked out somewhere here, I walked out to the shopping center or the different housing around here, and the first person I approached, just approached somebody and said, I have $10,000 worth of silver and gold, and it's yours. It's yours. If you come through these doors and sit through the service. Do you think anybody would take me up on it? You think so? Sister April's right with me. They would probably take me up on it, right? I'm not going to do it. Just so they know. But just hypothetically, don't you think that probably the first person I walked up to, if they had plans to go to the movies, if they had plans to go to Golden Corral, if they had plans to go ride their bike, they would change their plans. Would anyone agree with me that they most likely would change their plans? Why? Because they would see the value, the worth of it. And that number, 10,000, I just grabbed out of the air. $10,000 silver, gold, the value that we can put a value on it. A monetary value. Because that's something, even my little grandsons are already understanding the value of dollars. They understand going to Target and they have to get put on a limit and a budget, or else they'll just take whatever they want. And but it's a treat for them. But they understand this. They understand, and sometimes I don't get time to spend with them, but I'll see them, I'll pass them, and I'll give them some dollars and whoever they're with to say, go take them to get something. And they're already like, they just get excited. They don't just go to Target, but they know these stores, these different ones. Of course, sometimes it's the dollar store. Now they have a great time at the dollar store. I'm going to date myself, but they used to call them 5 and dimes. You remember that? 5 and dimes. And then if you got one of those silver dollars and you go to the 5 and dime, you can get after it. So a candy bar, I think they were probably 10 cents. Sometimes they might have sold them for 5. They originally, I'm going to go history, when they came out, Hershey's, and this was way, way back. It's like there was 5 cents. And chocolate was for rich people. Chocolate was for rich people. And the one that changed that was a man named Milton Hershey. He changed that. He brought chocolate to the masses. Milton Hershey did. He did a lot of great things. He still has an orphanage to this day, and he left a trust fund for him. And I believe the trust fund is worth like $18 billion for these, I think. And so it's like the wealthiest school. They only have like 200 children in it, somewhere in there. And a lot of the other schools complain because, like, what are they doing with all this money? Well, he left these specific instructions so they can't spend it, because he didn't realize how much value that what he was leaving them when he passed away. So they have to follow the instructions. He has no relatives, and this is what he left. Now, you probably purchased some Hershey products, and they're still going. But the value that he left them, billions of dollars, with a B. But what he brought to the masses is what you know is milk chocolate. So his milk chocolate he brought to the masses. But milk chocolate had a value, because it was only for the rich, the wealthy at that time. But he made it so that the everyday person can purchase a chocolate bar. But putting a value on it, and because he went through many moments where he didn't have money, where he was busted and he was broke. He had to borrow money from relatives. And he did it like 3-4 times that he borrowed money from relatives. The last time they said no. When he came up with this idea, his relatives said no. So he had to do all this maneuvering to get funds. And he walked into the bank, and he went in and he told the banker that he was speaking to what his idea was. And the one that he spoke to co-signed for him and gave him a loan. And he turned that money into the Hershey business that you know today. But this man was busted. He was broke. He had went through all these things, but he saw value in the chocolate bar. All of you know Willy Wonka, right? Willy Wonka never reached what Milton Hershey did. In fact, the Willy Wonka bar really never has succeeded. That it's really has struggled. Eventually, I think they came up with like Nerds, and that stuff came out of the Willy Wonka line, and that succeeded. But the chocolate bar could never surpass Milton Hershey. Do I got to tell the story? I have the golden ticket. I have the golden ticket. Thank you. A couple of you get it. I'm not charging you for that extra. That line has a lot of power to it. I just got goosebumps. You missed it. You missed it. I have the golden ticket. I have the golden, call me Charlie. Oh, you guys, man, you guys are too spiritual. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and Charlie found the golden ticket. He found a coin, right? Okay, you don't know the story, I'm going to tell you. He found a coin. And he looked at the coin, and he saw the value of the coin. And he looked at it, he says, what am I going to do? I'm going to go buy a chocolate bar. And he purchased a chocolate bar. And he opens up the wrapper. And what's inside the wrapper is the golden ticket. And he sticks the golden ticket in the air. And a lady tells him, run, Charlie, run. Get out of here, Charlie. They're going to want your golden ticket. And that's where the song comes in. I have the golden ticket. And then his grandpa that was bedridden for many years in the bed, all of a sudden is doing the jig. And he's cutting the carpet. Man, he got a miracle. He's in his bed and he comes up, man, he's just jigging. Grandpa is jigging because his grandson has the golden ticket. Some of us have no dance. We have no dance. We have no jig because we don't understand the golden tickets. I'm going to break the news to you. I have the golden ticket. I have the golden ticket. I should have had the team get ready for this. Sister April said, I wasn't planning on going here. If you can't see where I'm going, this is going organically right here. This part I had. But Charlie, I remember that the movie didn't do well when it came out. It didn't do well. It didn't do well until they started replaying it on TV. But my oldest brother, Steve, took me to see Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I'm messing up because they made a new one that I never even watched with Johnny Depp because they changed it to some other name. But if you like that, fine. I didn't see that one. But anyways, I was just a little boy. And my oldest brother took me, and I still remember. And I still remember going to watch that movie. But understanding that chocolate bar with the golden ticket, and that the golden ticket had value. And what was that golden ticket? That he got to go to the chocolate factory, right? Jesus of Nazareth is on the scene. And what does Nathanael say? There's nothing good there. What's he saying? There's no value there. There's no worth. What value could come out of Nazareth? But see, this is how God works. See, he could have shown up in all his glory. He could have showed up with the most fabulous chariot and horses and angels and being ushered in to this world. The King of Kings, not just a king, the King of Kings. They're getting ready to crown King Charles, his coronation. He's already king, but he's going to go through his official coronation, right? Nothing compared to Jesus of Nazareth. But people know that King Charles is royal. You ask anybody, they'll let you know. But how many people know the royalty of Jesus of Nazareth? The real King of Kings without royalty. But where was he born? Help me out. In a manger. Wrapped in what? Swaddling clothes. There was no room in the inn. He didn't even have a place. The King of Kings is born into this world and has to be born in a barn and wrapped in rags. But it was all part of the plan. That's when Philip's saying, this is what, when he says Moses, he's talking about the first 5 books of the Bible when he says that. Where he's referring to what's called the Torah, the first 5 books. He says, what was written in the books of Moses and the prophets, meaning the rest of the Bible of the Old Testament. What was prophesied, this is him. But he came, he was born in a barn. And he didn't have royal clothes, and he didn't come with a crown, he didn't come with a white horse. So they didn't know it was him, and there was no beauty in him. You know that, right? The Bible tells us that. But that was all part of the plan. What does that mean? The Bible tells us that Saul was a handsome man. Right? The Bible tells us that. There's very few, but some of the, we know that Saul was a handsome man. And he stood like 6'9". Now you have to understand, people weren't as big then as they are now. So 6'9" is today still big. But 6'9", handsome, good-looking man. The Bible tells us that. That's not how Jesus came. I'm pausing because I'm letting you chew on this. Because I don't buy into the portraits that they make of him. And that's why when people say, oh, I saw Jesus, and what? You saw Da Vinci's interpretation. Right? Right? Am I right? So who is Da Vinci to tell us what Jesus looked like? But we buy into it. You see how we are, though, as people? See, that's how people want to see him, but that's not how he came. That's not what he looked like. Why? Because he wanted people to see from their heart to his heart. That's why they could say there's no value. That's why people missed him. That's why people couldn't see him. That's why people couldn't get it. But it's no different today. It's no different today. It's not different. People don't see the value, the worth of Jesus of Nazareth. They do not see the golden ticket. What's the golden ticket? That you have access to his throne. It's the golden ticket. Just so you know, right now they have, I think it's 5 red heifers in Israel. 5. And they need about 1 more year to grow. And they need to find one of those red heifers that has to be perfect. And I believe it can have 2 hairs, maybe 1 hair that's not red. But if it has more than that, it's no good. It can't be yoked. It can't ever been ridden. And there's 5 of them that they're watching right now. And when they get one, once they get one, they're going to sacrifice it. They're going to sacrifice the red heifer. They're going to take the ashes, and they take the ashes and they put it in water. Then they use the water for the cleansing of the priest. They already have the priests. The priests are already, because of DNA, they know who the priests are. They already have their high priest. The high priest has been designated. They have all the furniture that goes in the tabernacle. They've made a menorah, a gold menorah. But from what I've heard, that the Vatican has the original gold menorah that was in the original tabernacle. And that eventually Israel's actually going to ask the Vatican to give it back. They're going to ask the Vatican to give back the golden menorah, the original one. And my Hebrew teacher had told me this many years ago, that he knew a rabbi that had seen the Ark of the Covenant. And he says, I trust, when he told me that I trust my Hebrew teacher, but my Hebrew teacher says, I trust this rabbi. So, and there has been people that have said they know where that the Ark of the Covenant, that King Solomon built some hidden caves for this purpose, and they know exactly what tunnels and everything that they know, but they don't want to bring it out yet. Why am I sharing this? Because they're getting ready to make they're hoping like about 12 months from now. But guess what? You already have the golden tickets. I'm trying to, Grandpa Joe, is that who it is? Thank you, Grandpa Joe. You should be acting like Grandpa Joe right now. Seriously, why should Grandpa Joe be more excited about Charlie's golden ticket than we are about our golden tickets? That we have the ability to walk up to his throne. We can go. Why? Because what they said is no good was beyond good. Beyond good. Awesome. He is awesome. That awesome God, the perfect Lamb that takes away the sins of the world. See, he didn't come as a lion, right? He didn't come as a lion. He came as a lamb. He came as the perfect lamb. That's why there could be no broken bone. There could be no sickness. Now, I'm just going to give you this side note. This is just a footnote. See, but in the 613 Levitical laws that were given to the children of Israel to follow and to keep the word, the Bible, to keep it. And every jot and every tittle had to be perfect. And this started from Moses. The Lord wrote the tablets, right, on Mount Sinai, right? He wrote the tablets. Then Moses got them, and then Moses started writing the book of Genesis. And not that would have been a big thing to do back then. But they started with him and keeping it perfect. And then each time they had to keep it perfect. And then they had the 613 Levitical laws. Why am I telling you this? Because it was all in preparation of this man coming out of Nazareth. So they had to keep it because their blood was going to be going into that lamb. Do you follow me? So that blood in that lamb was getting passed through all these people. The Lion of the tribe of Judah, they had to follow through. Did you know that Joseph, that we read right there, who wasn't Jesus' biological father, but it was his garden here on earth, was actually royal? It tells us, if you look at the genealogy, it goes back that he was actually a king. He was actually a king. But guess what? You ever hear of Mary? That was the mother? Yeah, I'm just saying it like jokingly because we underestimate. She was also royal. They were both royal. The genealogy you can find, the book of Matthew is written from the perspective of a king, and it gives the genealogy of the kingship. But Mary was a queen and Joseph was a king, but it was missed. It was, if they would have looked closely, it would have been there, but they didn't see it. But what had happened, all those generations, that when you read your Bible, that it goes back generation, that is all DNA being passed, that these people had to follow the Levitical laws so that when the Lamb arrived, he wouldn't have disease. He wouldn't have any, that because this Lamb was going to be my golden ticket. I'm going to say mine. It's up to you to say if it's yours. My golden ticket. My golden ticket. And don't let anyone tell you that they took Jesus' life. He laid it down. He laid it down. So when people say God's mad at these people, no, he's not. He laid it down. It was part of the plan. He knew the plan. People missed the plan. Even the disciples, they didn't get it. They thought he was going to set up his throne. That's why Peter pulled out, because he thought, okay, I'm going to be on the right hand of the king. He was expecting Jesus to set up. It's going to happen. It's just that he thought it was going to happen back then. That's why he said, I'm out. Did you get that? See, sometimes we want to see something with our eye, like Peter did. He wanted to see the Lord come and set up his throne right then and there. He didn't realize that it was going to be thousands of years later, because the Lord told him, Peter, you're going to be a martyr. He says, you're going to die for my cause. You're going to be a martyr. You're going to be taken where you don't want to be taken, and your life's going to be taken from you. And then what did Peter say when Jesus told him that? He says, well, what about John? What happens with him? And the Lord said this. He says, what's it to you what happens to John? What if John never dies and gets taken in the rapture? That's what it's pretty much saying. What if he never dies? So they were believing that John would never see death, but that's not what Jesus said. He says, what if it did happen that way? What's it to you? That's what he told Peter. So what's it to you what happens to your brother down the street? A couple of you. What's it to you? Why? Because you have to see your golden tickets. God's been good to you. God has blessed you. You may think that someone else has the golden ticket and you missed. It may not be glamorous. Someone else's life may look more glamorous, but you don't know what's behind all the makeup. You don't know what's behind all the fake jewelry. And I'm not one to preach fake it till you make it. I don't believe in fake it till you make it. The Lord wasn't faking it. He was just keeping it back, because he knew if he would have came in all his glory, everybody would have went to their knees. But because it was hidden, they missed it. What good thing can come out of Nazareth? What good thing could come out of this house? A lot. A lot. This morning, I don't know how many of you saw my pastor's corner, but I shared something so those of you that watched it, you'll know what I'm going to say right now. But I never shared this. I got hit by a car when I was 7 years old. I've shared that. But I got hit by a car. I was 7 years old and went through the whole thing. I won't go through the steps, but the man that hit me came back to visit me. My mom, my dad. I remember sitting there. He came. I remember this. This is a side note. He offered some money. My dad actually turned him down. Remember that, Mom? But that's how my dad was. The man offered money. My dad said no. Just out of the way my dad was. But the gentleman that hit me was on his way to a Billy Graham crusade. That's where he was going. And it was, the crusade was in Oakland, California, which the stadium he had it at still, it's the Coliseum. It's still there. It's the big round baseball stadium. The Raiders played there for a while. Old stadium. Well, it wasn't old then, but old now. It's still there. And the gentleman said that he went there and he had the crusade and Billy Graham pray for this 7-year-old boy. I had never shared this. It just came to me when I was writing my book. I was like, you know what? I just remembered something. The guy that hit me was on his way to this crusade and had Billy Graham pray for me. I'm sharing that because it wasn't right here in my mind. I just put it away as a 7-year-old boy. I didn't understand what that meant. What I mean by I didn't understand that you have to think about the totality of it. That God had his hand upon that 7-year-old boy. And I'm not going to give that crusade the credit, but I'm going to say it didn't hurt to have thousands of people pray for me as a 7-year-old, led by the Reverend Billy Graham, who, just as a side note, Queen Elizabeth requested him to come visit her, and he did. So he's well respected, right? But I didn't understand the worth of that. And like I said, I didn't share it till, me and my mom briefly talked about it recently. And it was just because of all the transition in our lives. But I've never shared it. I've never talked to my wife about it, my kids. It was just back, and then it came back as I was writing. But as a 7-year-old boy, and I'm getting this told to me, I don't know the value of it. I don't know the worth of it. I didn't know the value of the worth. But we're not 7 years old, are we? We should be in a place that we could see this value today. The value of his word. The value that you get to give thanks. You get to lift your hands. You get to walk through these doors. I was upset when they said unto me. I was angry when they said unto me. I was sad when they said unto me. I was mad when they said unto me. I was looking for an excuse when they said unto me. No, I was glad. I was glad. I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. One thing that I have desired, and that will I seek after. Help me out. That I may dwell in the house of the Lord. Yes, yes. That I may dwell in the house of the Lord. Let me be found in the house of the man from Nazareth. Born in a manger. You could go ahead and come up. I got to give you this last one, though. Stay with me. I got to give you this last one. When this would be good for a couple of weeks from now, but I'm going to give it to you now. All of you know, as we've discussed, this man that had no beauty and went to Mount Calvary and was crucified, that they made a crown. They made a crown. They made a crown for him. They made a crown for him. You know that, right? It was out of thorns, but it was still a crown. They didn't know what they were doing. But they had a coordination. They have a coordination. Minister Such, they say that's at Passover's when you crown kings. And Passover's when you crown kings. These Roman soldiers, they made a crown of thorns and they coordinated him. They had a coordination. Yes, it went into his skull and drew blood, but that blood was precious blood. It flows how? To the highest, can you do that? A cappella? No, just a cappella. It flows to the highest mountain. Go ahead. Go ahead. Valley. It reaches. Yeah, this is organic. We didn't plan it. Just a cappella, old school. Team, go ahead and come up here. That's okay. You can keep going. His blood. They put it into his head. And as it began to drip, it began to drip.
It will never lose its power, for I know it reaches to the highest mountain. And it flows to the lowest valley. Oh, yes. For his blood
that gives me strength from day to day.
From day to day, it will never lose its power.
They crowned him. They crowned him. They didn't realize what they were doing. And he even said that, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. But they were crowning him. And he came as a lamb. And you remember the week before? He rode in on a donkey. That was the most glamorous thing, was that he got on a donkey. But do you remember the donkey that had never been ridden? And what did they do? Because they didn't have gold streets of gold, right? What did they have? They started throwing their clothes out there, their coats out there. They started paving the street for the King of Kings. And they're waving the palms. And then they wanted to rebuke him, right? What are they saying? They're calling you the Messiah. They're calling you the anointed one. They're calling you the one. And he says, you can stop them. But the rocks will still lifting me up, he says. The rocks will still, because it didn't matter that so many people have missed him. And so many people are missing today. What I mean, it doesn't take away that he's the King of Kings. It doesn't take away that he's the Lord of Lords. But he came as a lamb. But guess what? Next time he's not coming as a lamb. Next time he's not coming as a lamb. Next time he's coming as a lion. Next time he's coming as a lion. Yes. Next time he comes back, and he's not coming on a donkey either. He's coming on a white horse. And I ask you today, because I'm planning. I already got my reservations. I got my reservations in because I got my golden ticket. I'm going to be riding back with him. And that may sound arrogant to you, but I'm coming back because of that lamb.
Me too.
I'm coming back. You going to be there with me?
Oh,
Yeah, okay. So me and Brother Daniel, we're coming back with them. But we're coming back because we got our golden tickets. I'm serious. I'm inviting you to join us. I am. I'm inviting you. Anyone you want to go? Yeah. You want to go? I could say, how many people want to go to the Suns game? God bless the Suns. The Sons of Phoenix. God bless them. But more important to me, when that Lion of the tribe of Judah comes back on that white horse, I want to be in that. I want to be with as he comes back, because he's coming back as a king. And it won't be a crown of thorns this time. It's not going to be a crown of thorns this time. I'm going to pull out, but I'm going to give you this one. You should want to get a crown. You should want to get a crown. You know why? Because if we get a crown, what we're going to end up doing with our crowns is we're going to turn around and give it right back to him. And I don't want to be empty-handed. And I don't want to be one that came with the crown of thorns. I want to bring a crown today that is just what we're doing. Putting jewels in our crowns right now. We're putting jewels in our crowns right now. I don't know about you, but I know this is nothing right here. This is nothing. Cartier, God bless you, Brother Devin, but my jewelry up there is way more valuable. It's way more valuable. And I have treasures up in heaven. And when I get there, I think there's 5 crowns that you can get. I believe it's 5 that's available. One is a crown to love is appearing. That's one of them. We should all get that one. Right? Every one of us should get the one of loving is appearing. That's one crown. We should want that one. Every one of us should at least have that one. But to take our crowns and then turn around and say, they crowned him with thorns. The coronation was with thorns. They didn't know it was the King of Kings hanging on that cross. But that I see the value of the King of Kings. That I see the worth of the King of Kings. And then I turn around and I give that crown back to him.